Welcome to Mum's Half Hour, the show that gives you the chance to share, discuss and explore the issues which matter to you. Hello and welcome to Mum's Half Hour. I'm Liz Spade. Now then, if you haven't logged on before, the second Friday of every month for the next 3 months is just for you. Mum's Half Hour, a chance for you to enjoy the conversation and thoughts of other mums and let off a little steam on the issues which matter. This series is fully interactive, so you can send your questions and comments to us right now and we'll receive them live here in the studio, or you can submit them in advance of every show and the Mum's Half Hour team will ensure we tackle as many as we possibly can. We'll also be giving you the opportunity to win a year's supply of Start-Rite shoes for your children in each and every episode. Today we'll be discussing pre- and post-pregnancy fashion. London Fashion Week starts next week, so what better time to check out the latest trends? Multiple births, what to expect when you discover that you have twins or even triplets on the way. We'll also be discussing ideal autumn-winter footwear for your kids, and there'll be details of our competition to win a year's supply of Start-Rite shoes. Now, answering the Mum's Half Hour call and joining me today to discuss all of this and more are mum of two 19-month-old twins, Jane Goldsmith. Welcome, Jane.
Thank you.
Nice to see you today. Mum of 4, including twin 14-year-olds, Caroline Latchman.
Hello.
Caroline. Nice to see you. And making her second appearance on the Mum's Half Hour sofa, mum of 2, Nifa, McLaughlin. Ladies, welcome and well done on making the panel. Now, don't forget, this is a live show, so if you have any questions or comments for our panel, please use the box on your screen, click send, and we'll do our best to tackle them over the course of the next 30 minutes or so. When submitting your question, let us know whose shoes you'd most like to walk in for a day and why. Leave us with your contact details, and one lucky viewer will be in with a chance of winning a year's supply of Start-Rite shoes. Now, last month's winner was Tina Mansfield from West Sussex, who was thrilled with her year's supply as her local kids' shoe shop had just closed down. So well done, Tina. And finally, if you're tweeting whilst watching the show, you can get involved with the conversation by using the hashtag #MumsHalfHour. Now, Fashion Week starts next week, so let's start by talking about pre- and post-pregnancy fashion. It's always difficult when you just find out you're pregnant to know how your body's going to change and quite what you're going to wear. Jane, did you have any favourite maternity outfits?
I did, actually. I had a really beautiful floral dress which was really fitted in well with the vintage theme because it was 19 months ago, and I absolutely wore it. And it was quite distinctively a maternity dress because you could really see the bump, which I liked because I didn't want to think that was just a little bit plump there. It had a princess line, so it really worked well.
Yeah, and with twins, did you find that your body shape changed very quickly?
Very dramatically. Although my actual normal shape was the same, like I was quite slim, but I had a huge bump.
Yeah, which in a way is more difficult to deal with, isn't it?
It was more difficult. I actually found that a lot of maternity clothes didn't fit me. I ended up cutting them.
Oh my goodness me.
Because I was so big.
That's drastic. Caroline, you had twins, then you went on to have 2 more, didn't you?
Did.
So you're pretty well clued up on maternity wear. Did you have any favourite outfits?
I think the twins is harder because you're so much bigger, and I was very much like Jane, sort of all out front, very big. But I had, obviously being a long time, or 15 odd years ago now, my favourite thing was a pinafore dress, very plain and simple, but I could wear t-shirts under it when it was warmer or dress it up, and it was comfortable to wear. And I think at that point, especially when you get towards the end, that's just the most important thing, that you feel okay.
You feel so uncomfortable, don't you? Especially at night. You seem to get bigger at night, don't you? And, I always had these tracksuit bottoms that I used to put on and just felt really comfortable at night. You don't want to feel constricted at all, do you? Now, Nifa, you've had 2, haven't you? 2 little girls.
Yes, I've got 2 daughters.
And how did you cope on the maternity range?
Well, I love Topshop Maternity because it felt like I was wearing what I normally wear. You can pretty much go in and buy the same jeans that you have non-maternity.
Yes.
So I had some skinny jeans and I had a couple of blouses and shirts, but I kept it quite simple. I didn't go mad. I didn't buy loads of stuff. I actually bought some non-maternity stuff. I had a really small bump both times, actually.
Yeah.
So
lucky.
even at sort of 5-6 months, people were saying, "Are you sure you're pregnant?" pregnant. So I'm lucky, but then obviously towards the end you get big.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was able to go for Topshop maternity, and I had some brilliant bras from Mothercare, which looked a bit like Calvin Klein, but they were Mothercare.
Yeah.
And that was great because you still want to feel kind of feminine and nice. You know, you don't want to wear sort of big greying.
No, some of the maternity bras are a bit shocking actually.
Yeah,
aren't
big
they?
straps. You know, you kind of still want to feel nice. So that was a great find.
Yeah, and what changed first with your body? I know with me, my waist just disappeared, and you just assume that everyone knows you're pregnant, and also my boobs got much bigger as well. So you just feel fat, don't you, all of a sudden? And I found that quite difficult to deal with, wearing my normal clothes to work and just feeling fat. When did you have to sort of actually first get maternity wear?
Pretty much sort of at sort of 10 weeks I started, because I was so
with twins.
tiny before, and but I really embraced the bigness, you know, with the bust and the tummy, and really celebrated it. And everything I wore, I sort of really identified the fact that I was pregnant.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
how did you cope for work? Because I know I was working in an office and I had one pair of smart black trousers and I just wore them to death and tried to fit everything else around it, sort of thing.
Yes, I did have my maternity trousers pretty soon after I got pregnant, and I just wore them with the same jackets, and then I just started to buy bigger tops, but I kept up to fashion, really. I kept up to date with the fashions. I would just buy a bigger top and maybe put it in a knot.
Yes, yeah, that's a good way of dealing with it. Now, Caroline, you had your twins 15 years ago. I don't suppose that there was quite so much choice back then.
There wasn't the selection that there is now. I think Henny's I used to find was very good because that was pretty modern, up-to-date, comfortable, and affordable as well, because, you know, especially with twins, I wasn't planning to go down that route again, so I knew that I wouldn't be needing the stuff.
Yeah.
But their things were good, and they were good for work as well. You could get trousers and tops to wear and things, you know, that were smart enough to wear in the office, but were also comfortable for the bump. So they were very good.
I think they are catching up, some of the manufacturers, aren't they? Nifa, you were saying about Topshop being quite good. Quite a lot of the shops have got ranges now, haven't they? M&S.
Lots and lots of shops have got ranges, which is brilliant. It's like they've suddenly realised that you want to look fashionable when you're pregnant. But also
there's pregnant women around.
Yeah,
Gosh.
suddenly everyone's pregnant, but also that you don't want to spend loads of money.
No.
Because really you're only going to be wearing these clothes for, well, you know, probably about a year, because you wear your maternity clothes a bit afterwards as well.
Yes, I did.
Yes. So really, you know, they don't have a long shelf life.
No.
And you want to look fashionable, you want to keep up with the latest trends, but, you know, you don't want it to break the bank. And something that I found was very early on, even though my bump was small, you kind of feel a pressure here.
Yes, you do.
So I got maternity jeans and maternity trousers very quickly, just because you feel, if you're sitting at a desk, you sort of feel like your tummy's pressing.
Yeah.
And it just is more comfortable to wear maternity jeans. So I think most women will find they'll go and buy those very quickly, and also it's almost a rites of passage. You kind of walk into a maternity store and you think, oh, I can finally buy some jeans, and I have my first pair of maternity jeans. It's quite exciting.
Yeah, but I think fashion at the moment really lends itself to being pregnant, because we've got all these big maxi dresses, haven't we? And a lot of things at Empire, and tunics. I mean, tunics, brilliant. Tunics and leggings, you can't go wrong with that, can you?
No, fantastic. Really loving the sort of 60s styling that's going on at the moment with the new coming season, and it really does lend itself to pregnancy. But almost you may be pregnant for a while and nobody will know, because you've got these new fashion looks going on. And
big old maxi dress, you could hide all sorts under there,
you
can't
you could.
Now, how do the celebs cope then? Because we're always seeing the celebs pregnant with their bumps all on display in all the magazines, aren't we? How do you think that they dress themselves during their pregnancy? Are you impressed with that or not?
Sometimes they look nice. You see them at, I don't know, when they had the awards ceremonies on last year and you saw the pregnant celebrities there, they were great. But watching them on the beaches and wearing their swimming costumes or their bikinis, it doesn't really do it for me. I think it's a beautiful thing to be pregnant and to have your bump, but I don't actually want to see the bump. You know, it looks much nicer when it's dressed up and they're wearing the outfits over them.
High heels, that's what I can never understand. Seeing these pregnant... Could you manage high heels when you were pregnant?
No. Midi heels, actually, right the way up to the end, but not high heels, with twins as well. And I've never seen a celebrity with twins on the beach.
No, this is true,
That would be a bit too much.
You'd be toppling over. Okay, let's move on to some of your top tips then for maternity wear. Starting with Jane, first of all then.
Well, for me, advice, I would say to... as much as you can, keep wearing the clothes that you're wearing. And I mean, quite often would cut my trousers or use the maternity trousers and try and wear tops that you would ordinarily buy, but just buy a bigger size. I think that works for a lot of people. And try and sort of celebrate your bump, you know, show it off as much as possible. If you've got a new cleavage that you've never had before, show it off. And just, you know, really try to enjoy it. I used to wear a lot of accessories and really tiny jackets, which I kept me going. And Topshop again is fantastic for all of those things. And H&M do brilliant, really fashionable clothes that are you know, perfect for the maternity ranges. And also I used to try and keep wearing my jeans that I could still get into, and used to put a black band round.
Yes, they're really good.
They're really good because it's sort of saying, yes, I'm pregnant, but I can still, you know, I've still got a nice sort of waist.
Your legs are kind of okay, aren't they? It's just the middle bit that goes a bit wrong.
Your legs and your arms are fine, so you still want to look attractive, but you know, you don't. Traditionally, people would cover themselves head to foot, and you just don't need to do that now.
No.
You know, you can still look really glamorous and pregnant.
Yeah, absolutely. You go, girl. Jane, any tips from you? Sorry, Caroline, any tips from you?
Well, I agree with what Jane's saying. I think it's very good. I also think that the block colouring that you've got now is good, because especially if you're in the early days and you're not feeling so good and a bit peaky, then that can lift you as well. And if you look in the mirror and you've got that bit of colour on yourself, then you just maybe, you know, you'll feel a little bit better too. But go with whatever your style is. Don't feel you have to conform to a certain sort of stereotype of how you should dress.
Yeah, and there is a lot of choice out there at the moment, isn't there? Which is good for mums to be. Nifa, any tips from you? You were quite slim. You were quite lucky, I think, weren't you?
Yeah, I think for me, I found, you know, all the shops do these great maternity ranges, but where I found it very difficult was if I suddenly got invited to a wedding or there was a party, you know, work party. Finding kind of special occasion maternity wear was a bit trickier, and also feeling nice in it when everybody else is looking gorgeous and you're feeling a bit, you know, big and you can't drink, and you know,
especially if it's hot.
So I think it's just thinking ahead, and also if you're pregnant in the winter, you have to suddenly think about a coat. You know, and each season brings different issues, or you know, in the summer you might look for a maternity costume, maternity bikini. So I think it's just looking ahead and do loads of searching online, because then you can just, you know, see what's available and then go to buy, so that you're not standing in the shop going, I'm not sure what's going to fit me or what's going to suit me. I also used a maternity band, a bump band, and that's brilliant, because in that early stage where you're not quite big enough for, you know, full-blown maternity gear, but you're just feeling a bit like your top's
like
riding up.
Too much.
Yeah, and you don't want to show your stomach. I mean, some people do, but you know, most women don't. And it just you know, fills the gap, and also because you don't want to be too cold there. So the maternity band was brilliant, and definitely consider moving to flat shoes or mid heels, because you know, it's not great to be you know, in a situation where you're unbalanced or where you can fall over.
Swollen ankles, we don't want that, do we?
Swollen ankles, not great.
Let's move on to talking a little bit now about fashion with twins. I mean, how do you kind of manage to go shopping and things like that?
Well, I take my children everywhere, you know, I just do, because otherwise you'd just be, what are the options, you know? So I go shopping all the time. I do find sometimes it's difficult to squeeze them into fitting rooms, but there are particular shops that are very good, like Gap, for instance, that have got big spaces, but they absolutely love it. And then we go for lunch, and you know, I'm not shopping all day, you know, shopping for, say, an hour, and they really enjoy it. It's good.
Yeah, enjoy it while you can, because they'll be running around soon and it'll be a nightmare. They'll be crawling underneath everything.
Okay.
Caroline, how do you get on with your boys?
Well, they, teenage boys, it's fine if we're going shopping for them, but they don't come shopping with me at all. And I'm lucky because they're older. Then, you know, if they're at school or something, then I've got the option and I can go on my own. But shopping for them, they're of an age now where they have to come with me, because I can't choose for them anymore. They know what they like.
And they don't like having the same thing?
They don't. One specifically, you know, even if you go somewhere and they like a style of T-shirt, they have to be a different colour, there has to be a difference. They want to keep their own identities, and they're very much of the issue that, you know, if one is having it in blue, then it doesn't matter. Even if there's nothing else, they'd rather go without than have exactly the same sort of top or something.
And quite right, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, join us after the break when we'll be discussing multiple births. OK, let's move on to another subject now. We've just talked about some fashion tips for mums expecting twins, triplets or even more, but let's briefly discuss the more general ways a multiple birth differs from a conventional pregnancy. Caroline, how did you feel when you were first told that you were having twins?
Shocked, surprised, very happy when I found out, and then it took a while before the reality of what was going to happen sort of sunk in. So after getting over that, then I found out quite early on that it was twins, so I had time to get used to the idea and then worry about what the logistics would be when they arrived. But no, it was very exciting. Other people were more shocked than me. When I told them I was pregnant, it was all great, and then when I said it was twins, you could see the look of horror on their faces, which was a bit worrying in the beginning. But yeah, no, it was good.
On to have two more, so it can't have been that bad. OK, so Jane, you had a boy and a girl, which is it's really lovely. How did you cope sort of after the birth? Did you have a cesarean?
Yes, I did.
And how did you cope after the birth? Because after cesarean, you can't really do that much, can you?
It was a challenge,
Yes.
and I did opt for a natural birth, but it just didn't. The plan didn't go. It didn't go to plan that way. Yes, I found it very hard. I had quite a long hospital stay, but I had two wonderful children, and I was so thrilled to have one of each. Yes, it was lovely.
And how did you cope when you got back home? Did you have family support or a nanny or anything? Or?
I didn't have a nanny. I would have appreciated a nanny, but
the cost of these things, though, isn't it?
I just got on with it, and it turned out fine. It was really hard work, and you have had major surgery with a section, and as one of the consultants said, if this was any other surgery, you'd be in bed for 2 weeks, but you've got two babies here that need feeding, so you've got to get up.
And you breastfed as well, didn't you?
I did. I breastfed for 6 to 8 weeks, I think, actually. Yes, and both at the same time. It was hard. But,
and how did you get out and about then with breastfeeding twins? I mean, how did you just not go out?
No, I just would take them for a walk around the park, and I wouldn't go out for long periods.
No. Well done, you. And Nifa, you're actually a twin yourself, aren't you?
I am, identical twin.
Oh, and how has that been sort of growing up for you?
Oh, I mean, it's amazing. Being a twin is one of the most fantastic things because you've kind of got your best friend with you the whole time. And, every new experience, like going to school for the first time or, going to university, whatever it is, you've got this twin that's going through it as well. So it's just sort of having a lifelong friend. And we're great friends now. She lives down the road. She has 2 children who are very similar age to mine. We see each other almost every day. Quite sad, maybe.
That's lovely. And it's nice knowing that your children will be like that too.
Yeah, it's really amazing. It's really special. And when you meet other twins, you feel like that they have it too. There is a connection, and you're there for each other, and they really understand you like no one else really.
Absolutely.
So I feel very honoured to be a twin.
And what about being an individual and being a twin? I mean, how has that been for you growing up?
I think at primary school it was very hard. We were in the same class, and people just described us as the twins.
Yeah.
They didn't really bother trying to learn our names. Sometimes even teachers as well, which is very naughty. And then we went to secondary school. We had different classes, and that was really good. And I think we both felt like we had our own friends. We had our own kind of interests. We really tried to dress differently, which I'm sure you will be finding with your twins. And that was really good. It really made us sort of try to be individuals. But I think, when you're very young, people do sort of see you as the twins, and you can't really get away from it. But now, you grow up, you go your separate ways, and then you kind of come back to being similar again. And now we just love it. I love being a twin. So actually, looking back, it wasn't that bad at all.
Yeah.
But at the time, I think when you're a kid, you just want to be your own person.
Yes, I can see that. Do you dress yours differently?
Never dress mine the same.
No.
Never. I always had this thing that they were twins, but they were individuals, so they have never been dressed the same.
And having a boy and a girl, it's easier.
Yeah, it's easier.
People think we're a bit crazy if they're both in pink dresses.
I think everyone fantasises about having identical twins, and I've got a little twins group, and they've got 2 girls and 2 boys, but they actually never dress in the same either.
No. But talking about clothes, there's a lot out there for kids at the moment, actually, isn't there? It's great fun, isn't it, shopping for your children? And you're lucky you've got a boy and a girl, so you're doing both. Now, you brought along some clothes to show us. You picked an outfit that you really like. So let's start off with Jane. What did you pick out for us?
I've got this gorgeous traditional frock coat style coat here.
That is
and the
so
good thing
cute.
about it is it's from Lily Rose. It's actually got the technology of like a sports coat. It's got a lovely lining there, which you normally wouldn't get.
That's warm, that,
coupled,
isn't it?
really lovely and warm, coupled with the amazing wool,
That's lovely.
traditional wool fabric. So it's really lovely. I love it.
That's really cute, isn't it? Oh, with little boots.
Little boots, and yes, I actually think I might have this for my daughter Arabella.
It's lovely. Oh, Arabella, what a lovely name. Thank you. Caroline, what did you choose?
Okay, I've got this shirt, which is from Thomas Brown, and I really like this. It's a real sort of winter type
That's a
thing,
lovely
I think.
Christmas shirt, that is. Really gorgeous.
But I like the fact that you could sort of maybe wear it with jeans and dress it down, or you could put on maybe something a bit smarter if they were going to a party and wear it like that as well. And I just, I think it looks really nice.
That's really sweet. It's kind of grown up but so cute at the same time,
definitely.
isn't it? Now, Nifa, I think yours is my favourite. That's so sweet.
Yes, this is a very sweet little skirt. The reason I like it is because it's practical, because it's warm, and you know, little girls, they want to wear skirts and dresses all the time. So if you can convince them to wear something that actually is warm as well as pretty, then that's great. But also, I think it'd be really lovely for a party, for a kid's party, and it just has that sort of 1950s party feel to it, which I quite like, and it's quite traditional as well.
Nice pair of woolly tights.
Nice pair of woolly tights, some sort of nice leather boots to go with it. I just think it's really, really
I would
sweet.
like one of those.
I would
really.
as well. Maybe a bit short for me.
And it would go really well with the coat.
It would,
Yes,
wouldn't it?
a
Look
pair
at
of these gorgeous boots down here.
Maybe not with the shirt, that would be a bit too well, thanks very much to Trotters for supplying the clothes. They really are absolutely beautiful. And just a quick reminder about our competition. For your chance to win a year's supply of Start-Rite shoes, all you have to do is submit a question and let us know whose shoes you'd most like to walk in for a day and why. Remember to leave your name and contact details too. Join us in part 3 when we discuss shopping for those all-important autumn and winter shoes. Now on this very fashion-conscious episode of Mum's Half Hour, keeping with the theme of togs for our toddlers, it's time to talk about footwear and how to kit out your kids this season. There's some lovely shoes and boots out there. I'm sort of almost hoping that we get some snow so we can get the boots out. How do you cope with buying for so many children? You've got 4. That's an expensive time, isn't it? Start of term.
It is at the start of term. I think it's very important, especially when you're going back to school. I always get their feet checked, even if they've had shoes maybe May or June time. Make sure that you've got the right size, make sure that they're fitted and that they're comfortable, because they're in them 6, 7, 8 hours a day. So they have to be comfortable, and you don't want to damage their feet.
Do you go for leather generally?
I go to leather. I always go to make sure that they are fitted to a store that knows has the people there that understand the children and fits them out properly. And that would be my biggest recommendation, especially on a long day when you're at school. So, and then I tend, especially with school shoes, just to find out what they have in their size, rather than picking out a pair that I like, which invariably they don't have and won't fit them on that time.
Yes. Now, how about choosing their own shoes? You obviously don't let them do that.
Well, boys, I mean, they have school shoes. They maybe will have a pair of casual shoes, the older ones, or some trainers and things like that. But then we're into things like football boots and like sports type footwear as well. So they do have a pair of casual shoes, but not lots. The main thing are the school shoes, because they're wearing those 5 days a week.
Yeah. And how about boots? Have any of you got into boots with your children, your girls? Do they have boots?
Yes, this kind of thing, sort of brown leather boots.
Yes.
I bought them both a pair last winter, and I think they're still wearing them now.
Yeah.
They're absolutely brilliant. They're so versatile, because you can wear them with jeans, you can wear them with skirts, and they're warm as well, and they're waterproof, so they can kind of jump in puddles. And I think that they were such a brilliant buy, and I bought ones that were a little bit more expensive than I'd have liked, but then they lasted for just that little bit longer. But it's really hard with kids, because their feet grow so quickly.
I know, that's right.
So you kind of hold back and think, should I be spending that kind of money? But actually, especially something like school shoes, they're wearing those every single day. They're running around in them, they're getting scuffed, whatever. You know, it's actually worth spending a little bit more money just to get that extra kind of month or 2 months out of them.
So in the winters we've been having recently, I mean, boots are actually quite good value, aren't they? Because you are wearing them a lot.
Definitely.
With the winter we've had, and their feet get so cold, don't they, if they're out and about in that. I mean, it's a good idea to go into a store to get fitted on in store, but you can actually go online. The Start-Rite team offer this online fitting guide, and you can send off and you get your tape measure where you can measure your children's feet with that. And also there's a really good guide online which shows you how to fit each particular type of shoe to your child. If you go to www.youtube.com/Start-Rite shoes and go and have a look, it's really, really good, that. Yours are in shoes. Are they walking yet?
They've both got their first shoes, and I've gone for a good quality pair of shoes, but I will be getting boots. So that'll be very soon. I'll be getting them some lovely boots. They've just started walking, but I agree, get them fitted properly, and they do have to go back in sort of 6 to 8 weeks to get them refitted. So it's really good. I mean, you really don't want to put them in boots or hard shoes, but they're really supportive, because you think their feet are so delicate, but you know, they're walking around, running around, so they really need them now.
Yeah, and you wouldn't hand shoes down from one child to the next, would you?
No, I wouldn't do that. Their feet are different, they're different sizes, different fits, and once you've worn shoes like we do, you stretch them and they go out of shape.
They mould to your
so
feet.
it's fine to hand down a pair of jeans or a top, but never ever shoes.
And who looks after shoes in your house? Does Mum do it?
Mostly. A bone of contention slightly. My husband, to be fair, does do his share as well, but the boys not quite as much as I would like.
And everyone says, all my boys, they wear out their shoes so quickly. My little girl, she's terrible with shoes. She really wears out. Do your girls do that?
Absolutely.
The tops of them?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about handing shoes down. There's no way they could hand shoes down, because by the time one child's worn them, they're a mess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they do get their own shoes. Although, I mean, they like my shoes, to be fair. I often find them in my bedroom trying on my high heels.
You can't send them to school in your stilettos. It wouldn't be
I
fair.
can't, no.
We're almost out of time, actually. We've just got time for a question from Jenna. She says, hi there. Have you any ideas or money-saving tips for buying toddlers' clothes? I say my toddler, my son is 3, and he's currently in 6 to 7-year-old clothing. My goodness, I'm size 11 in shoes. Any tips for buying clothes for children, I suppose, cheap and hard-wearing? Where do you normally go to get your...
I would advise just to go to the sales and buy ahead.
That's a good idea.
You know, if you see anything that you really like, this is what I do. I buy it now, and they'll just get them to grow into it and save it and dig it out when they're the right size for it.
Yeah, okey-doke. Where do you normally go?
Where do we go? Well, we do the sales as well, but we look around in a variety of places. I think rather than limiting yourself just to one shop and saying this is the shop where I buy their clothes, have a look around generally and see what's out there. And especially at the moment with the recession, so many places have got offers and special offers, or buy one get one free, markdowns and things, that if you hunt around, then you will find deals out there.
Yeah, you do a lot of your shopping online, I hear.
I do a lot online. I buy a lot of high street brands, because I think it's pointless to spend lots and lots of money on kids' clothes, so I'll buy from H&M and Mothercare, and Gap as well. Gap Kids is brilliant. But then every now and again I'll go to Boden and buy something special that I know will really last.
Yeah.
So I think it's okay to have sort of special items that you spend a bit more money on.
Yeah, the sales are great, and buying ahead, that's such a good tip.
Yeah.
If I was more organised, I would do that, but I'm not. Well, time flies when you're having fun, and our half hour is up, ladies. So my thanks to Jane, Caroline and Nifa for joining us. It's been really nice to talk to you today. Be sure to catch us next time on Mum's Half Hour on Friday the 14th of October, where we'll be discussing, amongst other things, dealing with those difficult sleeping patterns and breastfeeding. And remember, if you want to find out more about picking the perfect school shoes, you can go to youtube.com/Start-Rite shoes. And thanks again to Trotters for providing the clothes for us. You can find out some more about those styles at their website, which is trotters.co.uk. Well, thanks very much for joining us. Bye for now, and we'll see you next time. Cheerio.